I decided to be a stay-home dad, which is, it's a lot like anal sex. It sounds like fun, but in reality, it stinks. You want to know the best thing about being a stay-home dad? Nothing, absolutely nothing. It's like the shittiest job you can ever have. It's terrible. The hours are terrible. The pay is terrible. There's no promotions, no advancement, no time off. Dress code's casual. And they'll take almost anybody, like literally, like the entrance requirements are rock bottom. I think kids they destroy your reality, your whole world. Obviously, you're like social in your sex life and stuff like that. But I mean, it's the stuff you don't expect, like going to the toilet. I raised my kids. I changed their diapers. I had wipes. Wipes are great. You wipe, and the poop is gone. But then they start potty training, and early on, you still have to wipe for them. They're going to the potty, but you have to wipe. You've got to take the toilet paper, and you're wiping, and the shit's just getting rubbed into the skin. It's not going away, and you're looking at the toilet paper, and the toilet paper's clean, and you realize that your whole life, toilet paper is a lie. And you start thinking about your own asshole and how dirty it's been this whole time. All of you right now, think about your assholes. Are they clean? Why do you think that? 7 years I've been with my kids, stay-home dad. You know what I've learned in 7 years? My kids are terrible. They're lazy, self-absorbed, manipulative little... I have no idea where they got it. My 9-year-old, he had a music concert. And so I did take my 4-year-old, went with my wife. And I didn't realize it wasn't just his grade, it was the whole school. So it's like a 2-hour show. They just keep going and going and going. And my 4-year-old's getting restless, and she's like crawling around like underneath my feet and the legs and the chairs, and I'm reaching down and I'm trying to grab her. And I like accidentally bang the back of her head, and instantly she's like, "Daddy hit me!" And she starts crying, and then people around us all start looking at me, and I'm like, "Shh, it's okay, it's okay." And my wife's looking at me, and everybody's looking at me, and like kids freaking out, and I'm like, "What do I do?" And she's like, just go. And I'm like, "Okay, I'll just go. And I like pick up my like screaming kid and put her over my shoulder and carry her outside. She stops crying, I set her down, like they bought it. But we get like maybe one of these again before Daddy gets in trouble. Of course my kids are a pain in the ass. Why wouldn't they be? They're my kids. I only quit being a terrible person when I had kids. It's not that I'm a terrible person, exactly. I just never was really a very good person. You know, my therapist said that I was lazy and self-absorbed and something else. I wasn't really paying attention. I thought my answer, I could fix myself with drugs. Ignorance is bliss, right? So I thought, do a ton of drugs for years and years, and I'll just dull my brain into blissful ignorance all over again. But instead, I'm still angry. I just don't remember why. I grew up in a rough place, and I know it's hard to tell by looking at me, but I'm not really much of a fighter. I think most comedians aren't. Like, you probably developed comedy and laughter as like a defense. You make people laugh so they don't kick your ass. So I got beat up a lot. Lucky for me, though, I don't have to be a fighter because my wife is the fighter. She's the fighter in the family. She did MMA for years, and she loves to tell everybody about it. Like, she's always telling this story about how she choked this guy out in a bar and like embarrassed the shit out of him in front of all his friends. And I'm like, I really wish you quit telling that story. It really fucking hurt. And my friends have never fucking let me live it down. So I was looking for a hobby, right? I was looking for something to do. And my wife suggested, you should get into martial arts. You should do martial arts, that's fun. I'm like, why? That doesn't sound like fun at all. Like, if I needed some painful attempt to recapture my youth, I'd just take algebra. I don't know. She's like, no, but like, what if you needed it? Like, it's good to know, like, if you needed it. And I'm like, well, so's algebra. But I'm not going to spend hours a week in painful preparation in case some guy in a dark alley wants me to solve for X. What if you have to protect your stuff, though? Well, that's easy. We're poor. Who's going to take anything? When I was younger, I grew up in Texas, and I used to carry a gun, to protect my stuff. Till one day I realized all my stuff was shit, and the only thing I had worth protecting was the fucking gun I was carrying. So now I just carry insurance. It's like way more effective. We did start doing one kind of fight training, though. It's called relationship fight training. Well, they call it therapy, but I think it's more fun when you think of it like a Kumite blood sport kind of deal. Leap to judgment tiger style versus emotional baggage master. I think when you've been married a long time, married sex becomes kind of like the presidential election. Like, it's important. You have to participate. But without any new faces involved, it's kind of hard to get excited. I've been married a long time. I got no complaints about sex. Sex is great. It's just when you've been together with somebody for 10 years, it'll be 10 years in May, you got to spice it up. You got to do stuff. So people suggested, maybe you should try role-playing. I asked my wife, I was like, you want to try some role-playing? She's like, sure. Did you have anything in mind? I was like, how about 9/11 sex? She's like, what's that? It's like, that's where I call your vagina jet fuel and see if it can melt my steel beam. And then after we're done, I spend months telling you it was an inside job. She said, no. Why don't we do something more traditional? Like, standard S&M master slave stuff. And I was like, that sounds cool. And I thought everything was going great until a couple of weeks later, I was like, wait a second, these are just my regular chores. Laundry's not hot. She was like, I'm very fucking turned on right now, so I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't work. We figured we could start having an open relationship, right? That's what people do when they've been together a long time. They still love each other, but they get bored. And it's great. If you've been with one person a long time and you forgot how much other people don't want to sleep with you. After a while, though, we had to stop. We had to stop saying that we have an open relationship because it's just kind of pathetic and sad. In 10 years, we've, used that option 3 times. I do this 3 times a week. I don't call myself a fucking comedian. I think in the end we decided we'd rather be kind of bad at monogamy and still, instead of really, really bad at polyamory. So we did, we went to therapy, like I said. It's way less exciting than sex with strangers, but it's a lot easier to schedule. Although I'm pretty sure for $100 an hour, you could probably hook up the sex, too. I don't know about getting your insurance to cover it, but I think the real thing is, I just had to admit to myself at a certain point I'm not that guy. I've never been that guy. I wasn't promiscuous when I was a single man. How pathetic is it to suddenly in your middle age pretend like you're Leisure Suit Larry? It's kind of sad. You can keep going to a baseball game and hoping you're going to catch a fly ball. But if you're in your 40s and you still bring a glove, it gets a little sad. At the end of the day, I just had to admit, I'm not that guy. I'm not a fighter. I don't know if I'm much of a lover. I don't know if I'm much of a parent. And for me, monogamy is like that friend holding you back at the bar from the fight you really don't need to get into. That way I can be like, hey, be glad I'm married. Otherwise, I'd be going 9/11 on all you ladies. Thanks, y'all. Y'all been great. That's what I got.